There are a few things you have to keep in mind for this video. The project Oman Vision 2040, Joe Hattab's nationality, and Skyscrapers. Joe gives you the story, but I'll give you the truth behind it.
In a world racing to build the tallest skyscrapers.
I told you, skyscrapers are already here. But the fact is this. This is how he starts describing Oman. It's a great narrative to create a contrast, sure. But what I want to clarify is how much of this is actually true. There are 195 countries in the world. While Oman is certainly an exception within the Gulf states, since everyone else is betting on verticality, the same isn't necessarily true when you look at the rest of the planet. If we define skyscrapers as building taller than 150 meters, only 35 to 40 nations in the entire world have more than 10 of them. Of course, the US and China are in a league of their own. But what about the rest? India, 430, nearly all in Mumbai. UAE, 345, nearly all in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Japan, 280. Canada, 185. UK, 50. We are only at 7 nations so far, so what happens next? Every other country has a far fewer. Most European countries have fewer than 30 each, often all concentrated in a single city, like Paris or Frankfurt. Italy, for example, has only 8. The world is not expanding vertically, it's not racing in that direction. Only a few extremely densely populated places are, and mostly in just a handful of countries. But generalizing is convenient. It conveniently omits that the reason they don't build vertically in Oman is due to both internal architectural regulations and a strategic marketing move to create a unique positioning, distinct from its neighbors. But I'm asking you to keep those skyscrapers in mind until the end of the video. I'll coming back to them.
One country chose a different path.
Honestly, this image struck me too. But let's be clear, it's just because I'm European and I know less to nothing about Oman. Initially, I thought it was just some random stock clip. I assumed it was like Madeira, the Portuguese island. Then I went looking for it and found the exact location on Google Maps. You can check it for yourself. Everything matches. Sure, it doesn't always look this great, partly due to color correction, but mainly because that lushness only arrives thanks to rains during a specific time of year. That is the Dhofar region, in the south of the country, and that vegetation appears during the Kharif season, a period characterized by monsoon winds and a tropical climate. Very different from what you would typically expect in the Middle East. In fact, we are talking about an exception. Not just compared to other Middle Eastern countries, but even within Oman itself. Now, let's zoom out. Well, it's quite close to Yemen, right? And I won't ask you to keep a fourth thing in mind. I'll be the one to remind you of this detail at the right moment.
No towering high-rises, no flashy mega-cities, just an identity it refused to compromise, no matter the cost. Even with oil and wealth at its disposal.
Muscat.
Where are we? From the tropical climate of Salalah to the calm serenity of Muscat, this isn't just a country. This is the Sultanate of Oman. From Salalah, today we're diving deep into Oman, a country that doesn't get much attention, a hidden gem in the Middle East now beginning to shine.
True, or rather, almost entirely true, because there is more than a little something left unsaid in that sentence. Oman isn't an unknown country, it's a very selective one. If Dubai and Abu Dhabi are in a league of their own, here is how the neighboring states are positioned. Saudi Arabia, 100 million tourists a year, including religious tourism. United Arab Emirates, 20 million arrivals. Jordan, 6 million. Qatar, 5 million visitors. Yemen, too much internal tension to even include in that comparison. And Oman, roughly 4 million tourists. And yet there is more to the story, because flight, for example, they are expensive. I made a comparison here, starting from Italy, with other Middle Eastern airports. Behind the high price, it's immediately obvious that flights to Muscat are very scarce compared to other routes. If no major agreements have been made, there is a reason for it, and it's certainly not just because no one knows Oman. Then, another detail to consider, you know those massive events like Expo, Formula 1 or football, both the World Cup and the national leagues? Well, they are deliberately not part of what Oman wants. Simply put, so far, there is no policy of welcoming the mass tourism that characterizes other Middle Eastern states. Finally, have you ever heard Oman in the news? I doubt it. Well, it's not because no one cares. It's because of their policy of neutrality. Oman is a stable country, unlike its neighbor, Yemen. Furthermore, tourism is steadily growing. Domestic tourism isn't declining either. It's not exploding, sure, but no one is complaining about it. That's because Oman is a destination that primarily wants to attract high-spending segment. In short, they aim for quality over quantity when it comes to their visitors. There is nothing wrong with that. I mean, they are simply choices. So yes, you can call it, definitely, and it's fair to call it a gem, but not because it hasn't been discovered yet. But I would say on average, because not everyone can afford the type of tourism that it offers.
We'll start with the capital, Muscat, the quiet capital. Once the heart of the Omani Empire, with its mosques, fascinating stories, islands, and its own opera house. We're now in the highlands. Then on to the city of Sur, near where the very first sunrise in the Arab world appears, a city born from the sea. A maritime story that carried Omanis to India and East Africa.
Congratulations to the groom.
And then the desert with the culture of the nomadic Bedouins. After that we head high up to Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar, Oman like you've never seen it before, rising more than 2,000 meters above sea level. From there we go to Nazwa, Oman's capital over 1,300 years ago. A center of power and knowledge, lively markets and history that is still alive. Next we visit Dhafar Governorate with its greenery and breathtaking nature. You'll feel like you're in Indonesia or Thailand, but with a pure Omani soul. Ancient mountain cultures and wedding rituals unlike anywhere else in the world.
Your weapons on you?
Oman was historically known as the land of frankincense, a precious commodity that reshaped ancient trade routes and reached the great...
Sorry for not interrupting sooner, but I wanted you to see this entire sequence. Setting aside the fact that this is clearly a promotional video designed to polish Oman's image, I want to talk about this plug that is called Integrated Trailer. I'm not talking about a trailer released separately, days, weeks, or months before the video drops. I mean a trailer integrated inside the video itself. It's as if they think not knowing exactly what's coming from now until the end would make our brains shatter. As if writing a decent, linear piece of storytelling no longer has a grip on the audience. And sometimes it gets even worse with the pre-trailer. A mini trailer that announces the trailer, and only after that does the actual video finally begin. By the time it's over, you might as well close the tab because you're already seeing everything. I won't go any further with this specific rant, but I definitely will go further into the video, because now I want to jump into a specific timestamp.
It's a key city in the Sultanate where ocean and trade meet. We'll show you how this clothing is made. So you're going to make us an authentic Omani khanjar?
Yes. This is the Omani khanjar.
Okay, this costs $5,000?
Yes. If we add a diamond, the price increases.
You said your most expensive khanjar is $20,000?
Yes. In the past, it was a weapon. Today, it's a symbol.
The Sultan wears one, right?
Yes, and so does everyone else, rich and poor alike. The khanjar is a true Omani identity. Every family has one.
How long does it take to make one?
For me, it takes about 2 months.
For one khanjar?
Yes,
Can I travel with it by plane?
you need a permit. It's considered a weapon.
Yeah, a weapon.
You can't take it outside Oman, and it's even banned from crossing into the UAE.
The diversity in this country is incredible. Just an hour and a half from Muscat, yet everything feels different. This khanjar costs $5,000.
So let's recap. An identity symbol like the Omani Khanjar, something so valuable it's even featured on the national flag, cannot be worn in other countries like the UAE. Yet throughout the video, Joe Hattab, a non-Omani, wears it without any issues. In Oman, it's a celebratory object. It's not considered a weapon. That's why you can see people walking around with the dagger without any public order concerns. This would not be the case in other Gulf countries, especially the UAE, where anyone walking around with a khanjar would be considered in possession of a weapon. Furthermore, given the past tensions between Oman and the UAE, specifically regarding the claiming of certain desert traditions, displaying an Omani khanjar in public would be a strong political statement that certainly wouldn't go unnoticed. So remember when I asked you earlier to keep Joe's nationality in mind? Well, it definitely coming in handy now. But this won't be the only time. We will need it again very soon. Let's skip the video to a moment that will define a key point for our analysis.
Then, we headed into the desert. They're coming! We're in the desert. Oh, he knows exactly what he's doing. Where did you learn this, Muhammad? Who taught you this? Your dad?
No, I taught myself.
By yourself? Amazing. Give him a prize. Well done, Muhammad. Well done.
Now pay attention to the chat.
From the deserts of Oman, between sand and dunes, you live this Bedouin life. Would you ever move to the city?
No, I would never move to the city.
What is life like here in the desert?
Life is good in the desert.
Is this traditional Bedouin clothing?
Yes.
God bless Said. I'm honored to be here. So you chose this Bedouin life and don't want to leave it?
No.
Is this your daughter, Jude?
This is my granddaughter.
Jude, you have a TikTok?
No, she's a student now.
Jude, do you prefer city life or the desert?
The desert.
You love the desert.
Her entire childhood was in the desert.
Am I doing it right?
This is called Al-Thiba.
Adib. Oman is a rich country.
This is God's blessing.
Why don't you move to the city?
I don't want to. I don't like it. I want to stay here. My ancestors lived here, and this is where I want to live.
In complete peace.
So the only question it was asked was whether they were interested or not in living in the city. And the answer was no. Okay, perfect. I don't know about you, but this scene makes me wonder about several things. The first, above all, is how do they live? I mean, it's fine to choose a life in the desert like their ancestors, following traditions, but where does the money come from? And to find an answer, we need to break it down. To keep it simple, let's talk about camels and dromedaries, generous welfare, and tourism agencies. Don't be fooled by a worn-out tent covered in sand, and don't think for a second that the SUV parked next to it, used for the long journeys to the city, is the most expensive things they own. If you shift your gaze for a moment, you'll see their greatest investment: camels and dromedaries. They can be worth more than a property in Dubai. Not only are they bred, but there are official races and competitions. These are organized events where massive amounts of money circulate, especially if the animal's pedigree is pure. For example, I found the website of a clinic near Abu Dhabi online. They manage auctions themselves, but they also act as a care center for camels, complete with a veterinary department and DNA testing facilities to certify the animal's bloodline. Age and sex clearly affect the auction price, but the real business starts when a camel wins a race. In just a few hours, the owner could see the value of their investment literally double. And the buyers? Well, sure, most are from the Gulf countries, but don't think they are the only ones. There is even a European federation. Apparently, a new tradition is being born. But I mentioned 2 other points, and the next one is Omani welfare. It's important to highlight that many Bedouins hold government positions, like in the police or the army. Thanks to these roles, they can maintain their social status as people of the desert, as these jobs offer shift with long periods off. This allows them to spend time with their families among the dunes, while still receiving salary and benefits. Healthcare and education are mostly accessible for free. The state even constructs buildings near Bedouins' villages to ensure they don't remain isolated. On top of that, there are subsidies for houses in the city, especially for children when they need to move for school. And finally, the third point, the tourism agencies. Bedouins are a massive attraction for tourists, acting as expert guides for desert experiences and as artisans for whom visitors can buy clothing or handcrafts. Moreover, since they don't have a permanent brick and mortar home, their utility bills are zero, and it's very likely they use solar panels to generate their own electricity. In short, choosing the desert over the city is not just about traditions. I mean, there are more factors at play.
Then they invited us to a traditional meal. Do you have a car?
I have a car, and I carry firewood with it.
Do you drive on the sand dunes?
Yes, I drive the dunes. I'm strong, by the grace of God.
How old are you, Said?
I don't know exactly. 70, maybe 80, I don't know. Let him choose a number. I belong to the desert.
Belong to the desert.
I belong to the desert.
Do you dream of visiting Paris?
I don't want to go to Paris. They all come to visit me here, Parisians and others.
These are the Bedouin tribes of the desert. This is a traditional art form in Oman's desert. Tell me if you've ever seen anything like it before. Hello! What is this art called?
It's called Raqd al-Arda. This tradition goes back hundreds of years.
Okay, let's move a little bit forward.
Then, we left the desert and headed to the mountains. We arrived at Al-Jabal al-Akhdar,
And this is our hotel for the night. It's pretty cold. We're 2,000 meters above sea level, and we're right on the edge of the mountain. This is Jabal al-Akhdar. It doesn't look so green, obviously. Some fruits grown here don't grow anywhere else in the Arabian Gulf. This is one of the highest and coldest places in Oman. This area is famous for its agricultural terraces. Look at these heights.
This is Alila Jabal Akhdar, a luxury resort nestled in the highlands in Oman. There is nothing wrong with it, except for a reflection I had after reading a piece of news about this structure. It was the first in Oman to receive the LEED certification back in 2015. What is this certificate? It's a sustainability recognition awarded by an American NGO for the way a building is constructed. Could this be uninteresting? Perhaps, yeah. But this word, sustainability, triggered an alarm bell in my head. At the beginning of the video, I asked you to keep in mind one thing. This one, Oman Vision 2040. Let me explain it very briefly. It's a national strategy to transform the Sultanate into a developed and diversified nation. It's built on 4 pillars and 12 priorities. As it happens, sustainability appears consistently across both the pillars and the priorities. So I asked myself, a structure that seems so innovative obtained its certification 10 years ago. But if the Sultanate's ultimate goal is sustainability, is it still certified after more than a decade? I started digging and found the original report with the scorecard. According to this model, based on the points earned, you can be awarded a LEED certificate at different levels. The first one, the lower, it's certified. Then we have silver, which this structure obtained with a total of 50 points. Then gold and platinum. My intention isn't to comment the scores themselves, but to bring to light one small detail. In the top left corner, you can see that this is a BD plus C certification, which stands for Building, Design and Construction. Why I like this? I mean, are you telling me there is another certification? Exactly. The LEED O plus M certificate, which stands for Operation and Maintenance. This is the missing link. It was never requested by the resort from the American NGO. This was a certification that should be renewed every 3 years to prove that not only was the construction sustainable, but that the ongoing operations continued to meet those same parameters. Especially for a country that is making sustainability its pillar for 2040. And yet, I get it, of course. Using a global evaluation standard for such a unique landscape isn't ideal. That's why committees are currently being formed to assign certifications originating in the Middle East, like Muscat and Al-Safat, in order to perfectly calibrate what makes sense to include in the scorecard and what doesn't. And yet, from a high-end target structure, where the prices for rooms and villas are so high, where special discounts are requested, and where the number of tourists is around 220,000, with 50% from other continents, 40% locals, and 10% from other Gulf states, I would have expected a more in-depth certification. But this is just me.
Then we headed to Nazwa. Welcome to Nazwa, where deep history lives. It was the capital of Oman over 1300 years ago, and a center of rule and knowledge in the 7th and 8th centuries. The moment you enter it, it feels like time has stopped here. Mud brick houses, forts, and the same spirit that lived here centuries ago. This is Nazwa Souk, one of the oldest markets still active and unchanged today. It's an incredible city. We're in the old market on Friday. Every Friday at 7 a.m. people gather like this. Something fascinating is about to unfold in this auction market. Everyone has brought their livestock, and they'll hold an auction for the livestock. Look at these sheep. It feels like a market 1,000 years ago.
It feels like a market 100 years ago. No, Joe, it doesn't feel like that. And you should know better than anyone, given your nationality and your origins. Not to mention that your job takes you all over the world. Markets like this exist all over the Middle East, Africa, and even Asia. Not in the past, today. By saying this, you are simply revealing the true target audience for this video. It's a clear giveaway, especially since his channel is full of videos with titles and descriptions entirely in Arabic, his mother tongue. But let's move on, because this is not the only sentence that I flagged.
Seeing Greenland here was a real shock to me. Look, it feels like Switzerland or Vietnam.
Man, are you serious? I mean, you are of Arab origin. Something like this shouldn't shock you. You know perfectly well that it exists. At most, it might amaze a European or American who would never imagine finding a small green corner in Oman. And even if it was the case, you were in Yemen, just like less than a year ago. There are videos on your channel that prove it. And as I showed at the beginning, the green region of Oman is very close to the Yemeni border. If you found similar landscapes there, it's highly unlikely you would expect a completely different world now that you are in Oman. Furthermore, I haven't forgotten, Switzerland and Vietnam, as the reply to that comment says, Oman could be nicknamed Switzerland, certainly not for its nature, but for its neutral stance regarding conflicts, a position very different from that of other Middle Eastern states. And yet, by linking Oman to those two countries, you are defining a precise brand positioning. Switzerland, cool climate, cleanliness, safety, and prestige. Vietnam, lush greenery, wild nature, and adventure. Let's flip it for a second, just for fun. Imagine making a video about Switzerland or Vietnam and saying it feels just like Oman. How many comments would there be under that video asking if they heard correctly? And then, still in this tropical landscape,
A rare sight in the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, a tropical country in the Arabian Gulf. Mountains and desert, and stunning nature, where cows and camels share the same land. You look so beautiful. How are you? This is the Omani kufiya. We're gonna wear Omani clothing. This is nice as well. Look at all those bananas, locally grown and sold here. This entire street is filled with the strangest kinds of fruit. We're not in Ecuador or the Philippines. We're in an Arabian Gulf country. They aren't imported. They come straight from local farms. You feel like you're in Bali. These are all local fruits, because the weather here is tropical. They even have coconuts. Thailand?
No, this is from Salalah.
Salalah. Did you hear that?
just a small addition. That production represents only 0.01% of the entire global banana market. In short, he's showing a tiny reality, but Oman is not even remotely self-sufficient. Local fruit production covers only about 40–42% of the demand. However, quite often even this share doesn't reach the locals because it's preferred to export it to other Gulf states to maximize profits, selling a fresh product over a short distance. So everything else, yes, it's imported. There were approximately 14,000 recorded shipments in 2025 just for fruit. Basically, the image of that small shop is by no means the image of the entire nation.
The Far, 4,000 years ago, was known as the land of frankincense. They used to call it white gold. This is the frankincense tree?
Yes, this is it.
It was once sent to the European kings and the pharaohs.
Yes, to Greek, Egyptian, Chinese, and Indian civilizations.
Do you see this substance? It's frankincense from the frankincense tree. It's the base for the world's most luxurious perfumes, incense, creams, and even chewing gum. Incredible. All of this from one tree. A precious substance that changed trade routes and connected this land to the great civilizations of the ancient world. The Greeks and Romans wrote about it, and trade ships passed through here on their way to India and East Africa. The sap of the tree dries and becomes this.
As you can imagine, the frankincense harvested here is no longer just sold in local markets, the traditional souk. It has been transformed into a marketing asset, selling Omani identity in liquid form at a premium price. This is primarily thanks to the perfume house Al Mouaj, owned by the royal family. Honestly, I was quite surprised not to see a segment dedicated to it, especially because they organize guided factory tours on their website. It would have been the perfect opportunity to bridge what we just saw, the traditions of the past, with all the modern products derived from frankincense that tourists can buy, particularly in the high-end anti-aging cosmetic industry and supplements. Furthermore, the primary site for frankincense harvesting is in the Dhofar region. It's known as the land of frankincense, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Although cultural services aren't the Sultanate's top priority in terms of GDP, this specific characterization of the area, far from the capital, is crucial for attracting visitors, especially high spenders, to the resorts in the south of the country. In short, frankincense has an enormous value. Not in terms of volume, like oil, but it represents a giant brand positioning factor in Oman. And since we are talking about tourism, here's the 2025 report. The first thing that stands out is the plan to increase the tourism sector's contribution to the GDP from the current 2.7% to 5.3% by 2040. Additionally, analyzing the charts below, we can see that accommodation services plus 21.2% compared to 2024, and travel agency services minus 2.3% compared to 2024. And here's the key to all. The push is no longer through traditional travel agencies. Instead, the content creator becomes the storefront to attract the specific visitors they want, focusing more and more on independent bookings rather than travel operators. Furthermore, confirming what I said earlier, restaurant services impact the GDP 20 times more than cultural services. This is why the frankincense production area is so unique. It's a rarity that acts as a magnet, driving visitors toward dining and accommodation services even in the southern part of the country. In short, Joe speaks about beauty and identity, while the report speaks at a different language, and it talks about growth objectives and profitability. And this leads us to a very specific tiny detail that I noticed shortly after.
That's why the coastline was filled with forts, to protect something that was once worth more than gold. Hello.
Hello, welcome. It's an honor to have you.
We've just joined them here.
Dhofar is unique for its diverse environments. You have coastal, rural, and a Nagdi Bedouin environment. And each environment has its own architecture, culture, customs, and traditions.
This is the traditional Dhofari house. Let's go inside.
Pull the rope and push.
Pull the rope
and push.
So this is how people lived here.
Of course. These stone blocks are unchanged for 150 years.
So this is authentic?
Yes, completely.
And unchanged. Has my picture been here for 150 years?
Yes, we inherited it. This is a gift.
Look at this gift.
Out of curiosity, I wanted to translate it, and it says a gift from the Kufan Heritage Lodge. Well, it's a hotel. You can actually book a stay and sleep in that very suggestive setting. So I went to check the room rates. The price roughly ranges from 80 to 150 euros per night. Certainly not extreme luxury, but not cheap either. In short, it could be seen as a boutique hotel. The idea behind it is that you are paying for the storytelling, for the chance to live in a place preserved in time and to unplug from the daily noise of modern life. It's as if, for a few days, you could truly feel like a 19th century merchant.
This is Oman. Peaceful towns that cautiously step into the noise of the modern world, holding tightly to their privacy, heritage, and culture. But more beautiful than the landscape and the history are the Omani people themselves. They're among the kindest people in the world, known for their generosity, hospitality, and genuine warmth of heart.
Aside from the ending, which I found very abrupt and unexpected, to be fair, I just wanted to add two more things to the story before I wrap up as well. The first is to provide some context. I've talked about luxury tourism and high prices, but what is the average salary of an Omani? Who knows? Maybe these prices seem ridiculous to them. Well, here's a list to put the Sultanate into perspective. Average salary, a little bit more than 2,000 euros per month, while the median salary is something around 3,600 euros. Then the golden positions are in the oil sector and high-level government roles. There is a minimum wage with a proposal to raise it, and graduates starts at the minimum wage. Then Omanis have well-paid social security contributions from employers, something around 20%. If you're an expat looking to move there, well, don't expect the same type of benefits to be applied to you so easily. And now the second and final thing, the promise I made you at the very beginning. Skyscrapers. Joe Hattab started with this hook, but throughout the entire video, he never said another word about skyscrapers. Not that there was much to say, I mean, there aren't any. But it's interesting to understand why and how Oman is moving to position itself in a completely different way from other Arab countries. In the race to the top, here's the leaderboard. Dubai, 345 skyscrapers. Doha, 76 skyscrapers. Riyadh, 47. And Muscat, 0, as I said. They are more interested in expanding the capital, Muscat, with the new districts that are fully eco-friendly, carbon neutral, and built to the highest sustainability standards. Just look at the Sultan Haytham City project. And yet, that verticality that has stayed at 0 for so long might be about to change. Khuwair Downtown, a project that would see Muscat witness the birth of its very first skyscraper. It would be just one, a controlled vertical landmark, sure, but it marks the exact break from the rule, an indication that Oman might finally bow to what everyone now expects. Imagine investors, politicians, ambassadors, businessmen. They are used to meeting in massive towers all over the world. Then they arrive in Oman and nothing. Well, even this new direction is part of the strategy included in Oman Vision 2040 plan. And if you were wondering why the video we just watched started with that specific claim, well, this other video from 11 months ago starts in a very similar way, and it got over 3 million views.
The United Arab Emirates built the world's tallest skyscraper in Dubai.
The world's tallest building, Burj Khalifa.
Qatar constructed a state-of-the-art capital and hosted the most expensive FIFA World Cup in history.
Champions of the world!
And Saudi Arabia is building a megacity that would probably cost over $1 trillion if it ever got completed.
After all, everything is marketing. Even choosing oak.